It's the real Buzz Lightyear!
You're mocking me, aren't you?
Oh, no. Buzz, look!
Money.
Where?
What's up, extraordinary people? I'm Daniel, and today we're going to talk about Lightyear, which is a real fake movie. It's a real movie, obviously. You can go to the theater and watch it, but it's also a fake movie because this is supposed to be a movie that exists in the Toy Story universe that Andy watched that made him want to get a Buzz Lightyear toy. So this is a movie that exists in the Toy Story universe, but we can watch it in our universe. So basically, the multiverse is real, birds are fake, nothing makes sense, especially this movie. This is not the movie that Andy watched. It can't possibly be. We'll get to that in a moment, I promise. But first, let's talk about what this movie is actually about. Lightyear is directed by Angus MacLane, who is actually one of the original animators of Buzz Lightyear, which is pretty cool. And it stars Chris Evans as a human version of Buzz Lightyear, a space ranger who travels to a distant planet and ends up getting his whole crew marooned there. In order to escape, he must create a crystallic fusion reactor that can power hyperspeed travel, but every time he tests it, time dilation causes him to move forward into the future by several years. So before I get into whether I like this movie or not, I need to get two things out of the way first. You see, there are two controversies surrounding this film that are being spread by people who have basically nothing better to do than just complain about a movie they didn't like. Which is also what I'm doing, but at least I'm complaining about valid things. These controversies are not valid at all. So the first one is, there are people who are mad that there are gay characters in this film. There's even a theater in Oklahoma that put up a warning sign on their theater and said they were going to try to fast forward through the scenes, which is just completely ridiculous, obviously. There are even multiple countries that banned the movie unless Disney was going to cut out the scenes they didn't like. And while Disney has usually cooperated with this kind of censorship in the past, this time they just didn't release the movie in those countries at all. And all I can say of that is, good for Disney. They finally decided to put principles over profit. The second controversial thing about this movie was that Chris Evans was cast as Buzz Lightyear instead of Tim Allen. Now, I'm sure with this one, many of the people just like Tim Allen better or just like his performance and wanted to hear him as the voice again. There's obviously nothing wrong with that. But the problem here is that a lot of the people complaining about this think that Disney has some sort of political agenda and that they were canceling Tim Allen for his political beliefs, which is just objectively not true. Tim Allen is literally starring in an upcoming Disney Plus series called The Clauses, based on the movie The Santa Claus, so obviously I think his relationship with Disney is just fine. I think it's pretty obvious that the makers of Lightyear just wanted to have a different version of the character, so obviously that included casting a different actor. If they ever make a Toy Story 5 or any more Toy Story shorts featuring the toy version of Buzz Lightyear, I guarantee you they'll cast Tim Allen as him. Alright, now let's actually talk about the movie. So first of all, Lightyear is a pretty decently fun time. It has some exciting action scenes. The opening scene in particular has a lot of energy and is a lot of fun. The visuals are spectacular, as you would expect from Pixar. It's definitely not as visually creative as, say, Turning Red, but in terms of detail and realism and just overall spectacle, Pixar is definitely at the top of their game here. Socks the Robot Cat is adorable. I loved him. He's definitely the best character in the movie. Now the story here is okay. It's not great, it's not terrible, it's pretty mediocre though. It's not the worst thing Pixar's ever done. It's not Cars 2 or Luca or The Good Dinosaur. And yes, I know a lot of people loved Luca, but I personally found that movie to be pretty bland and predictable, but I digress. Lightyear is fun, but it lacks the depth and character development of even Pixar's average films. Even movies like Brave or Onward are far and away better than this. All the supporting characters here, except for Socks, are just completely one-dimensional and forgettable. Taika Waititi is even in this, and they give him basically nothing to do. Really, all of Buzz's companions in this film don't really feel like individual characters so much as they all collectively feel like just plot props. They're really just there so that Buzz can learn the stuff he needs to learn for the story, but they're not fleshed out characters in their own right. Now, Buzz himself is basically a fleshed out character. He has a goal, he has motivations, we understand what he wants and what his personality is, but he's still not that interesting of a character at the end of the day. The movie doesn't feel like it takes the time it needs to give his character arc the attention that it needs, and so certain scenes feel rushed, especially those that depict the passage of time. See, the story wants to have certain consequences to Buzz's actions, but when those actions aren't really properly set up, the consequences don't feel the impact that they should. I don't want to get into any spoilers here, and I won't, but this movie doesn't really establish what it needs to make the point it's trying to make. The worst character in this movie, though, is definitely Zurg. I'm not going to spoil anything, but what they did with Zurg makes no sense whatsoever, and just felt like the writers desperately wanted a third act twist involving him. So they wrote this twist involving Zurg that you can kind of see what they were trying to do, but it just doesn't work at all. And really, the entire concept of this movie doesn't make any sense. This is supposedly the movie that Buzz Lightyear was based on, but that's just not possible at all. We get a lot of information in Toy Story and Toy Story 2 about Buzz's story, and it just doesn't even remotely line up with this movie. So we know that Buzz Lightyear is a space ranger in a galaxy with an advanced interplanetary society, similar to what you'd see in Star Wars or Star Trek, where characters can travel between planets, there's like interplanetary trade, there's a galactic alliance of multiple planets. None of that is in Lightyear at all. Lightyear depicts a universe in which space travel is extremely costly and difficult. Humans have made no contact with any alien species, barely discovered any other planets, and time dilation makes any kind of regular interplanetary travel or trade impossible. In Toy Story, Buzz's ship taking weeks to repair is seen as a major inconvenience, but in Lightyear, just flying a ship between two planets would take decades or even centuries due to time dilation. Are we really supposed to believe these are the same universe? Oh, and by the way, Buzz Lightyear is totally shocked when he comes back from his first test flight and realizes that years passed on the planet. The other characters have to explain to him what time dilation is and how it works. So let me get this straight. An astronaut, who has been on countless hyperspeed interstellar missions, and doubtlessly will have experienced time dilation multiple times, doesn't know what it is? How?
In the name of Zeus's butthole!
Is that even possible? So Lightyear has no consistency or continuity with the Toy Story films. It barely even tries to make Buzz Lightyear the same character. And ultimately, this movie doesn't even really need to exist as a Buzz Lightyear origin story, because we already got that with the TV show Buzz Lightyear Star Command in the early 2000s. So this movie really doesn't justify its existence. I mean, it's not a bad movie. If all you want is a simple, fun space adventure, Lightyear will probably entertain you. But if you wanted to see the movie that Andy watched in the 90s that made him want a Buzz Lightyear toy so badly, this is definitely not that movie. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give Lightyear a 6. You know, the irony is, Lightyear should have been a Disney Plus original, and Turning Red should have been released in theaters. Between the two of them, Turning Red was the infinitely better film, but the reason that it got released on Disney Plus and Lightyear got released in theaters is because Disney really doesn't trust anything to be successful if it's not based on an already successful franchise. You know what else is ironic? Even though I want Disney to see that Pixar movies can be successful in theaters, I'm actually kind of glad that Lightyear bombed. You see, there was a report that if it was successful, they were going to re-theme the Buzz Lightyear attractions at the Disney parks, Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters in Disneyland and Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin in Walt Disney World to Lightyear, and that would have really sucked, so hopefully this means they've canceled those plans, but I guess we'll see. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of Lightyear down in the comments, and remember that you're extraordinary. I love all of you so much. Bye. 'Cause you're extraordinary. Yes, you know it's true. Extraordinary. That's why